Sinethemba and I'm with
Hamza.
And I'm Bonolo.
So on today's topic in this podcast, we're going to be discussing More Passion, written by Sinethemba. So this short story was written during the drum decade in the 1950s. So the drum magazine at that time was mainly focused on urban backlife in places like Sophia Town. So the story is not just a simple love story of people from different ethnic groups, but it's also a political commentary on how the apartheid laws manipulated black people or black communities with through fear, violence, overcrowding, as well as segregation. So with that being said, let us look at our lives, focusing on us as well, to get their ideas, both Hamza and Bonolo, about what they think about falling in love with people where you guys are being forbidden to fall in love with. So let's take us, for instance, I'm from KZN, Bonolo is from Johannesburg, and Hamza is as well as from KZN. So right now we are in Free State, so we are bound to meet people from different ethnic groups. So let me direct this question to Bonolo. As a Sotho girl from Gauteng, do you think that if your parents forbidden you from falling in love with a Zulu guy from KZN, would you have followed what they have said, or you would follow your heart?
Well, okay, for my side, on my side, I'm from Johannesburg, right? So we're multilingual, we're multiracial. So for me, it's really not a problem. But if my parents forbidden me from dating with maybe a Zulu guy or a Xhosa guy, I don't think I would obey, because because I mean he's a human being, like, guys, come on, regardless of his tribe or where he comes from. But I think, like, we're all human beings.
I've heard your point and I've understood it, considering that you come from a multilingual area. So now let us look at your perspective, Hamza, because we all know that people from KZN or Zulus are deeply rooted in culture. So I think, let me hear what you think about the question.
Okay, from my point, I wouldn't date another tribe because of things like I should change my culture. Firstly, let's say I'm married to a Sotho girl. I should change how I pray. I should pray a new God. The customs, I have to change my customs.
Why would you do that? So you just the boy?
Because as a Zulu, you shouldn't do that if you have decided to marry another girl. Let's say I have married another girl from a different tribe, and my family agreed to that circumstances. So let's say it's a wedding day today. Some of my family members will not attend that wedding, and some of my relatives will not attend that wedding. Let's make an example from Mapula and his uncle. Let's say they ended up being together and their tribe accepted them. Do you think after maybe at the wedding or when time go by, do Uncle Franz like or agree with their love with Linga?
Can I answer that? I don't think Mapula's uncle would have attended the wedding, considering that they believe that they were superior to the Xhosa people. Yes, they were superior to those people, and I don't think they would attend that, because we can see that the extent they hated Linga, they ended up killing him.
I don't even think it would have gotten to that point of marriage.
Even though I would say I would agree with you, Bonolo. My family, relative, and family members, some will judge me even though the wedding had continued, and some will not support it. So that is why my tribe is very strong when it comes to culture. It's very critical.
Okay, I understand you, especially because I'm also from KZN, and not to be tribalist, okay? So I myself don't think that I would date someone from a different tribe. Not because I have anything against them, get me right, but mainly because I think I want my wedding, should I get married one day, be a traditional Zulu wedding. But then now let's say I'm with a Xhosa guy. If we're getting married, of course we're going to get married according to his culture, because when a girl gets married, they leave their culture behind and follow that of the husband. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I'll be against. Unless then we decide that we're going to marry using the English wedding, yeah, then I think then I can date the other culture.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, with regards to the story, let's move from just tribal differences, but dive deeper into the apartheid laws and the special planning. How
African people were segregated from white people.
Yes. Okay. Let's look at the story. Let's move past tribal differences. So I would say that with apartheid, obviously there were laws and many laws actually. One of them being the Group Areas Act. The Group Areas Act, which it actually placed black people, right, or rather the disadvantaged or the poor people in townships, and the elite, they were moved to the urban areas. So as the black people stayed in, let's say, the townships, obviously they were restricted from going to certain areas. Obviously they could not access other resources and stuff like that. So with that being said, they ended up fighting for resources, so to a point whereby it caused divisions amongst the community. Like they ended up seeing themselves as different. Like let's say Xhosa, Sotho, Zulu, and I cannot associate with such. We are different. They didn't see each other as one. I think the apartheid laws contributed to that.
Yeah, I would like to agree with you on the division part, because with the Linga tragedy that fell on Linga, him dying, I think it was mostly perpetuated by the rule and divide and rule, because the tribes were then segregated because the other one believed that they were superior to the other. Because we also find that there is a time where Mapula's uncle thinks that Mapula has been bewitched, because there was no way a Russian fell in love with a Xhosa guy. Yes.
From my point of view, I would say the apartheid laws did raise tension because of the laws that they passed on. When you look at the beginning of the short story, everyone was crowding on a bus. They didn't say that you are a Sotho or you are a Xhosa. Everyone was running away. But because of people's beliefs of their culture and their supremacy, they didn't want to come together to fight the white apartheid. Even though in South Africa 1994, the apartheid had everyone was involved. They didn't say that you are a Xhosa, you are a Zulu. But mostly people that were fighting from KZN, but at the end of the day, the president was a Xhosa. So I do agree with your point when you say the apartheid laws and system rise tension in the black community. So guys, like we're talking about apartheid now, during in Sofia time in the 1950s, there were forced removals by the white government. Did that also rise tension between the black community, or it was just the apartheid system? Did the forced removals to the townships raise tension, or it was just the apartheid laws for having to have a pass, to all those things that the white government required?
Yes, it did raise tension because it led to the divisions of the black community. They ended up fighting amongst themselves instead of just identifying themselves as one.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I do think so because the division between the African tribes was the origin, or something that drove it was the apartheid laws. So with the forced move or whatever it was, they were then making them to be in a small space of land, then they were being overcrowded.
Fighting for resources.
Yes,
And
then,
poverty.
yeah, and then I think them, because they were fighting, so if the other group wins against the other group, then I think in some way that means to them that the other was superior than the other.
That we are not one.
Yes. Okay, since we have discussed the story beyond the ethnic divisions, I would like us to go back and discuss Linga's relationship with Mapula, being or representing the possibility of unity among Africans, because they chose the boundaries that they were set for them. So I wanted to think is to what extent did their relationship represent possible unity among African tribes.
I think Mapula and Lenga's love is more of an act of resistance.
So you think that they were resisting against apartheid?
Yes.
Or just the boundary that was set for them?
The ethnic lines, yes. It was an act of resistance because they knew that they were not supposed to be together, right? But regardless, they became a couple.
Yes, they had once.
So, yes.
Yeah, despite of their ethnic group difference, there's something that you cannot control, guys. That is love, guys. Love is something that you cannot control. Yes, their act of being together was able to fight the apartheid tension.
Okay. So I actually have a question. So is Mapula and Linga's love a threat to the apartheid system? Would you say that it was a threat to the apartheid system, seeing that the apartheid system its aim was to divide and rule? So can you say that their love was actually a threat to the apartheid system?
Yes, it was really a threat to the apartheid system, because I don't think there would be continue to be tension between different tribes. Why would be the tension? Because we'll be fighting for the same aim, for our freedom and for our country. So I think being the ethnic groups from the Linga and Mapula's family uniting together would have helped to fight against the apartheid system.
I don't know if I'm adding to Hamza's point, but then with the Mapula and Linga situation, I believe that they took a huge risk with crossing the boundaries, knowing the consequences that will come with it. So, if their love story,
especially knowing that her uncles were mafias, were they mafias or? Yeah, but they were involved in the war or something. They were the big guys.
I think if their love story ended in a better way or a more sweet way, it would have been a threat to apartheid laws, mainly because then the African tribes would have been united with each other, and there will be no divide and rule law anymore because they will be united. And I think people who are a group are better than one. You see, yes. I think they had more chances of winning against apartheid if they were together. Because, guys, What is love without love?
So you do agree that their love was a threat?
It was a
Yeah,
dream.
it was
Okay,
actually,
because they crossed the ethnic lines that were set for them, you know, and I think they were actually moving towards creating a united black community. Yes.
Yeah.
They saw each other beyond their tribes, or you know, we are Sinethemba, I'm a Russian. They saw each other beyond that.
And they fell in love
Mm-hmm.
because the heart was with this one.
So, guys, by dating Linga, do you think Mapula betrayed her tribe, or it was just an act of loving someone? So, guys, what do you think? It was just love or betrayal? What Mapula done?
On my side, I believe she was just following her heart, but to her family, obviously, it's betrayal.
Yes.
Because the two tribes were not getting along. Actually, Ajut Mapula was a Sotho, and the Sothos referred to themselves as the Russians, and the other Nguni speaking tribes were referred to as the Litanians. So, with that being said, obviously, with her family, they saw their love as betrayal. Hence, that point that you made, that they think that Lina bewitched Mapula, because there's no way that a devil would fall in love with a Russian. I have a question. Does the tragedy in the story suggest that there would have never been a reconciliation back in the 1950s? Like, couldn't they just make up and be one instead of, like, you know, killing each other and stuff like that? Does the tragedy suggest Uti?
If we were to mainly focus on the tragedy itself and not what happened after, if we focus on the tragedy itself, I'd like to think that marked the end of the possibility of peace.
Suggest that, yeah.
There wouldn't be peace at all. But then if we looked at what happened after the death, and then people were then watching the scene, and then we see that every person around that scene was feeling guilty, because now their internal conscience was showing up.
Starting to kick in now.
Yes.
Reality starting to kick in.
They could see the consequences that came with their actions. So I think if we focus on not just the tragedy, but the aftermath of the tragedy, then we can see that there was a possibility of unity amongst African tribes.
With regards to the tragedy,
Only it
say.
doesn't, because I believe that the literally people were going to try. Okay, so as well, I believe that the story does not only focus on the love story, but it also reveals the true complications that came with apartheid on African tribes and black communities. Yeah. So this marks the end.
That's it from us. That's the end of our discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, let us leave you guys with a question. So, will you guys, or would you guys fall in love with someone outside your tribe?
And why not?
And that is from us. Bye.
Bye.